Hay, Leap, and Spire family, the air in the Shea family mansion felt thick with secrets, the kind that could shatter a legacy or bind a family closer than ever. Charlotte's scream still echoed in Xavier's mind, a desperate cry for help he hadn't reached in time. He stood by the hospital window, staring at the city below, where his empire teetered on the edge of collapse. His father's voice lingered. Find her before the end of tomorrow. Search all of California, if you must. The weight of those words pressed against his chest, not just for Charlotte, but for the unborn child his father believed was his. A child that didn't exist. A lie Xavier had spun to protect her. But now, with masked men hunting her and a scandal threatening to bury the Shea name, the truth felt like a luxury he couldn't afford. Could he save her and his family's legacy, or would the shadows of their enemies swallow them all? Xavier's polished shoes clicked against the hospital's sterile floor as he paced, his mind racing. Charlotte was alive, barely, thanks to his father's blood donation. The image of her 8 children in that photo frame haunted him. Smiles so bright, they seemed to mock the danger she faced. He hadn't told Matilda the full truth about the kidnapping, only that Charlotte was safe. But safe wasn't enough. Not when Veronica's knife had nearly ended her life, and not when his uncle Antonio, the puppet master behind the scandals, was still out there. Xavier's phone buzzed, snapping him out his thoughts. A text from Jasper. Arya spotted at Red Milano restaurant. She's with a journalist. Could be connected. Xavier's jaw tightened. Arya, the wristwatch, the fight with Charlotte. Every clue pointed to a web of betrayal, and he was done waiting for answers. Across town, Charlotte stirred in her hospital bed, her wrists still raw from the ropes Veronica had used to bind her. The darkness of that basement clung to her like a second skin, and Veronica's words, "You murdered my husband," rang in her ears. She hadn't killed anyone, but someone wanted her to take the fall. Her mother's gentle hand brushed her forehead, grounding her. "You're safe now, sweetheart," Matilda whispered, but Charlotte's eyes darted to the door, expecting another threat. Her children, her 8 reasons to keep fighting, were at home, unaware of how close they had come to losing her. She clutched the hospital sheet, her mind flashing to the wristwatch she'd given Arya 4 years ago. A meaningless trinket, she'd thought. Now it was a spark igniting this chaos. Why had Arya kept it? And why was she accusing Charlotte of ruining her life? In the Shea family's oak-paneled boardroom, Mr. Shea sat at the head of the table, his presence commanding despite his recent blood donation. His eyes, sharp as ever, scanned the reports of the latest scandal, a video exposing alleged corruption in the Shea Corporation, leaked again despite Xavier's efforts to bury it. "Antonio," he muttered, his voice low but venomous. His brother had tried to destroy them 4 years ago, and now he was back, pulling strings from the shadows. Mr. Shea's chauffeur entered, handing him a folder. The journalist's name is Marcus. He's been meeting with a woman named Arya. They're digging into Charlotte's past. Mr. Shea's fingers tightened around the folder. Charlotte wasn't just an employee. She was family now, whether Margaret liked it or not. And no one threatened his family. Back at the hospital, Xavier slipped into Charlotte's room, his heart heavy. Matilda looked up, her eyes red but hopeful. "She's awake," she said softly. Xavier nodded, approaching the bed. Charlotte's gaze met his, a mix of gratitude and fear. "Why me, Xavier?" she whispered. "I didn't kill anyone. I don't even know Veronica's husband." Xavier knelt beside her, his voice steady. "I believe you. Someone's framing you, and I'm going to find out who." He didn't mention the wristwatch or Arya, not yet, but the pieces were falling into place. For years ago, Charlotte had worked at a hotel, crossed paths with a man who left behind a watch tied to the Shea family's enemies. Now, that watch was in Arya's hands, and she was using it to unravel everything Xavier had built. Outside, the city hummed with rumors. The Shea family's power was legendary, but so was their ability to silence threats. At Red Milano, Arya sat alone, her fingers tracing the edge of the wristwatch in her bag. She kept it out of greed, hoping its value could buy her a new life. But when she learned to belong to a Shea associate, she saw a bigger opportunity: blackmail. Her fight with Charlotte had been a mistake, a moment of rage when she realized Charlotte's connection to Xavier could ruin her plans. Now, with Marcus the journalist promising her millions for the story, she felt untouchable. But as she sipped her juice, a shadow fell over her table. Jasper, Xavier's assistant, stood there, his eyes cold. "We need to talk about that watch," he said. Arya's smile faltered. Meanwhile, Evelyn stormed into Xavier's office, her heels clicking with purpose. She'd overheard enough to know Charlotte was trouble. Pregnant or not, she was a threat to the Shea family's pristine image. Evelyn's low-cut blouse and calculated charm had failed to sway Xavier, but she wasn't done. She dropped a stack of documents on his desk, her voice sharp. "The Corwin Street project is behind schedule, and clients are pulling out because of the scandal. You need to focus, Xavier, not chase after some secretary." Xavier's eyes narrowed. "Charlotte's not just a secretary, and you do well to stay out of my business." Evelyn flinched, but held her ground. "Your mother agrees with me. Charlotte's past, her children, her abortions, it's all coming out. You can't protect her forever." Xavier stood, towering over her. "Leave. Now." Evelyn retreated, but her mind raced with plans to expose Charlotte's secrets. At the police station, Detective Scott reviewed the latest evidence. The second fingerprint on the murder weapon was Veronica's, but the case was far from closed. The body in the She Corporation garden, a low-level employee turned informant, had been silenced before he could reveal Antonio's involvement. Scott's phone buzzed with a message from Jasper. "Arya's talking. She sold the watch to a contact in Egypt. It's tied to Antonio." Scott cursed under his breath. Antonio was untouchable, always one step ahead. But Charlotte's kidnapping and the video leaks pointed to a larger plan, one to dismantle the Shea empire from within. Scott dialed Xavier. "We've got a lead, but you're not going to like it. Your uncle's back, and he's not alone." Charlotte's hospital room grew quiet as Matilda stepped out to call the children. Alone, Charlotte stared at the ceiling, piecing together the fragments of her nightmare. Xavier, stabbed while protecting her, masked men chasing her, her children in danger. It wasn't just a dream, it felt like a warning. She reached for her phone, her hands trembling, and typed a message to Xavier. "The wristwatch. It's from 4 years ago. I didn't know it was important. Find Arya. She knows everything." She hit send, her heart pounding. The watch wasn't just a trinket. It was a key to a past she'd buried, a past now threatening her family and the Shays. Xavier's car sped toward the restaurant where Jasper had cornered Arya. His phone lit up with Charlotte's message, confirming his suspicions. The wristwatch was no ordinary heirloom. It was a Shea family artifact, stolen during a deal gone wrong 4 years ago. Antonio had used it to frame Charlotte, to paint her as a thief and a murderer, all to destabilize Xavier's leadership. Xavier gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles white. "He won't win this time," he muttered. His father's words echoed, "Not while I'm alive." But as he pulled into the restaurant's lot, a call from his father stopped him cold. "Xavier, it's Ryan. He's been in an accident in Texas. Come to the mansion. Now." The Shea mansion was a fortress, but even its walls couldn't keep out the chaos. Mr. Shea stood in the study, his face ashen as he relayed the news. Ryan, his second son, had been targeted. A car crash that was an accident. "It's Antonio," Mr. Shea said, his voice steady but laced with fury. "He's coming for all of us." Xavier's mind raced. Charlotte, Ryan, the company, all pieces in Antonio's game. He thought of the photo frame. Those 8 children who looked so much like him. Were they his? The lie about Charlotte's pregnancy had been a shield, but now he wondered if there was truth he'd overlooked. "Father, I need to see Charlotte's children. I need to know." Matilda welcomed Xavier into her modest home, the photo frame still on the mantel. The children were at school, but their faces stared back at him, undeniable. "They're not yours," Matilda said, reading his thoughts. "But Charlotte loves you. She always has." Xavier's chest tightened. Love wasn't the issue. Survival was. He left, promising to bring Charlotte home. At the hospital, Charlotte was sitting up, her eyes clearer, but haunted. "Xavier, the watch. It belonged to a man I met at the hotel. He said it was worthless, but Arya knew it wasn't. She's working with someone. They want to destroy you. Xavier took her hand. They won't. I promise. As night fell, the video resurfaced online, just as a mysterious boss in fedora had demanded. The Shea family scandals, corruption, murder, betrayal, spread like wildfire. But Xavier was ready. He called Jasper. Find Antonio. I don't care how. This ends tonight. In the shadows, the boss in fedora smirked, watching the chaos unfold. You escaped 4 years ago, Xavier, he whispered. Not this time. But Xavier wasn't the same man he was 4 years ago. He had a family to protect, Charlotte, her children, his father, and he'd burn the world down before letting Antonio win. The Shea mansion stood like a fortress, but its walls couldn't hide the secrets tearing the family apart. Xavier stood frozen in the hospital, Charlotte's scream echoing in his mind, a desperate plea he was too late to answer. 4 years ago, he'd outsmarted his uncle Antonio's deadly schemes, but now they were back, cutting deep in the knife that nearly took Charlotte's life. His father's command burned. Find her by dawn, whatever it takes. She wasn't just an employee. She was family, tied by a lie about a child that didn't exist to keep her safe. With masked men closing in, a scandal video spreading like wildfire, and 8 children whose faces mirrored his own, Xavier faced a brutal truth. Saving Charlotte and Shea legacy could cost him everything. Subscribe now to uncover the explosive secrets threatening to destroy them all in Part 4.